Building a community for face-to-face students. Over the years, IT tutors had an issue with students being able to get organised to start the course. There was an orientation day, but it didn't seem to provide what we needed as tutors, and definitely not what the students needed to do. So last year, in 2010, came up with the idea of a challenge week, which got continued this year. The idea was to have a Moodle class site for the challenge week, which was actually open to all students, so you didn't have to be registered, because part of the problem with orientation week was some students were still within the registration process. We provided reminders for each day as to what activities were going on. We gave them other reminders about what was happening, what we were doing, why we were doing it, how we were doing it. The whole idea was for them to have fun, so this was really important, to have fun. The blue tasks were the ones that were available for students, the grey ones relate to previous year bits and pieces. So we provided all the resources that they needed to have access to the challenge week, and then we provided them the program, keeping up a leaderboard so that we knew who the leaders were. There were prizes available for different bits and pieces. Then we had all the various challenges down here. Some challenges were compulsory and others weren't. Students first had to put themselves into groups. What we wanted to do was have a mix of groups to try and get a mixture of first, second, third year students, and also those who'd been there before, who were new, and international students. A big chunk of our IT students are actually from overseas. Once the students were into their groups, they were then had to find a name for their group and to get started, and they were told about how things were going to work. One of the most important things for our students is they get issued with laptops to use for the course. This saves us having to use the ordinary network, which had other problems with being able to download things. So the big part was the laptop getting issued. Students wanted the laptops, so by having various laptop issue sessions, encourage them to come along and be part of groups. There was also different things on different days, like treasure hunt, games, challenge, activity sessions. Some things, as I say, were compulsory, some weren't. So, for example, to issue a laptop, that was basically compulsory for all IT degree students. Not that that's a problem, but there were certain requirements they had to do, and they had to sign up. They also had to be in a team to be able to get a laptop issued. Then we had them doing a treasure hunt, and they could catch up with the program leader for advice. And then we had a couple of other sessions where we got together with students, and we provided them with a daily schedule as well, so they knew what was happening, what times things were available. And so IT staff will be judging, and prizes. We had some really cool prizes for students. There was also a prize for one lucky student from a draw of a used laptop that was now no longer required for our courses. For each of the teams, they were given the challenges, and it said whether or not things were compulsory, and there were challenges as to how we were going to work out whether they succeeded and how many points they got. There was an issue in that some of the students didn't need laptops, so there was extra points available for those ones, so they weren't disadvantaged. We had 5 marks for them updating their profile. The most important one for us was their email addresses, because NMIT Online defaults automatically to the NMIT email address, but not many students actually use it. The treasure hunt had them going off around about town and around the Polytech trying to find different things, and there was a whole heap of Q codes which they had to decipher. Q codes are little black and white symbols which are appearing on different things which provide information. Law and order was an important one for us, because this is how the students actually use the network, what they are and aren't allowed to do with it, and they had to do it to pairwise, and the idea was to come up with some suitable consequences. Some of the consequences they came up were really good. So they got to know the staff. There was a match the mug shot, so basically we had each staff member where they were born and what their favourite music was, and the students had to match up the 3 bits. Individual learning plans was something new this year for NMIT, and it was compulsory that all students needed to do them. So it was decided to put it as part of the challenge, but make it a good chunk of points so that they encourage them to actually attend the sessions and do what they needed to do. Then there were the social challenges. We wanted to have Twitter available, so all students were asked to set up a Twitter account, and some of the classes are using blogs, so a team blog was being used so they could see how that works, so they could also keep each other together. And then using Twitter to nominate student reps. There were a few other challenges as well, so there was a web hunt, doing a YouTube, and designing a t-shirt, which last year they did, was supposed to be printed up into a t-shirt for students to buy, but it never happened. We did get a few printed up for the beginning of the year for staff, and then this year they were going to get them printed up, but I noticed that this was in February and now we're into October and we still don't have our t-shirts. So this part here may not quite have been part of it. And then some classes use Second Life, virtual worlds and that sort of thing, so here we go. There was a task to get them onto Second Life and see if they could get them into Ducadia or do it as well. And then there was a challenge for HCI challenge, which I can't actually remember what it was now. I'm a part-time tutor, so I didn't have to be there for all the times. And then there was another one where instead of having Google to find things, we looked into them finding things about music and artists. And from that, all the students were in teams, so we got to figure out who the teams were, so we made sure everyone was available. And we ended up with 20 teams, so that's looking at 80 to 100 students participating. And then to keep track of everything, we had a Google Doc which was set up with all the teams. So each of the teams in here with the various tasks, so you can see where they'd actually done things and what the overall points were. And then down at the bottom there was a list of first, second, third and fourth with how many points. So 528 points for the team which did quite a lot of the bits and pieces, Team America, and then 50 points for the Superstars, and that was probably a team that just got their laptops, I would say. So we were able to go through and work out who got which points. Some students didn't need laptops, so they automatically got 10 points if they had evidence of logging onto the network elsewhere. So that was a challenge week. It was very popular. The students enjoyed it and they got something out of it. Staff ended up having the first week, which would normally be classes, where we didn't have classes, but by the time we did start our classes the next week, students had laptops. They had them connected to the network, were able to log on and use them, and had some basics set up. And within class they were a lot more talkative with each other because they now knew each other, having had a week of doing tasks together.